In a world where human trafficking persists as a grave injustice, there shines a beacon of hope, a force for change. Eden is on a mission to amplify the voices that matter most, the voices of those leading the charge against trafficking. Join us as we dive deep into the lives and struggles of inspiring leaders from anti-trafficking organizations around the world. You'll hear their stories, their battles, and their unwavering determination to bring light into the darkest corners. This is Eden.
Hey guys, if you have been watching this or listening to this, you actually just time traveled. If you're watching this and you're watching us like on a screen, you can tell that we're wearing different clothes. My voice may sound a little bit different because I'm coming over cold, but I ran into some technical difficulties and didn't realize that we weren't recording the last third of the podcast. So it got cut off, and I didn't realize it until after we were done. And Mandy was gracious enough. I called her, I was like, oh my gosh, she told us an amazing story. There was some good stuff in there. And I was like, could we re-record that last part? Because there was so much good stuff in there. And she was willing to come on and share all of her wisdom and her insights and her stories. So if you're watching this, you're confused, it's okay. We're just going to continue going the way we were going. So I think the last thing we were talking about, Mandy, is you were telling us a little bit about some of the struggles that you have. I also wanted to ask, you did on the questionnaire that you filled out, there's one of the things you talked about was that in your organization, there was like, obviously you deal with darkness and you deal with, a lot of dark things, but sometimes the darkness comes from, what's the word I'm looking for? From, I don't want to say inconvenient, but
Unexpected?
Thank you. Unexpected.
Got it.
Unexpected places. That simple word is what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Come from
yeah,
unexpected places. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
yeah. I will. When I first started Dear Dinah, I came into a space that is really difficult, and not just because it's a dark, evil crime that we're fighting against, but sin runs rampant in this space, and there are a lot of really passionate people that are fighting, and along with passion can come a lot of very um, uh, a lot of opinions, and a lot of like people who feel very strongly about how to not do things. We'll say
Right,
that,
right,
and so when I came into the space, I came to the space as, this girl whose toes were hardly wet. I just came
right,
into it with this, broken heart and calling from the Lord to get involved. And so from day one, there were different challenges I didn't expect. Like you said, coming from people and places that were just they were now I can't think of words. Surprising. They were surprising.
Yes,
So,
yes,
but one of the things I did think about, early on was we have to do this together. We have to fight together because I want to stay in my lane, in Dear Dinah's lane, which is relational. It's all about like coming alongside these women, supporting them, showing them the love of Jesus. We're not caseworkers. We're not service providers. We're not this. So we need to come alongside the caseworkers and the service providers, and
right,
all of these different people come together, work together, serve together for the holistic healing of these souls, right? And so the first 2 years, I actually even had a citywide event called Come Together and
wow,
invited pretty much every organization that in one way or another was fighting human trafficking or preventative work or aftercare healing. They were all, we were all in the same room, we were all together, so that the
right,
community can come in, they can see who's doing what, they can get involved, they can support everyone. It wasn't a Dear Dinah thing, it wasn't a fundraiser, it was literally a come and see how the Lord has uniquely positioned you to get involved in this fight. We did a human trafficking 101, a survivor would share their story. It was just a really powerful event. So, and so I did those 2 years in a row. Still, while I myself am learning and growing, and
Right.
Dear Dinah is a baby. I mean, we're still May 5th will be um, May 5th will be 3 years
Oh,
since
wow.
starting Dear Dinah. So,
Congratulations. Yeah.
totally recognizing we're still babies and infants and, all of that. So, but we're now in the Dayton Dream Center. I think we've talked about that already.
Yeah.
Prior to being in the Dayton Dream Center, there was not a physical location. So a lot of Dear Dinah was me. I hadn't yet had volunteers and, all of that. It was really me just kind of trying to be open to whatever the Lord brought in front of me to help and support. A few years ago, I met a woman who needed help, came to Dear Dinah for support, and it turned into what I realized was a situation that I was not equipped to help. Um, for a lot of different reasons,
Right.
and I had to actually put up some barriers to protect this person and myself, and that was really not received well.
Right.
And as a backlash, this person kind of put threats out, like, I'm going to let people know you didn't help me, and kind of laid out how they were going to go about that,
Right. Right.
which they did attempt to do.
Right.
Lord willing, not most of the people who those, the stories fell on, it fell on deaf ears. There was one who kind of picked it up and believed it, but for the most part, it went away.
Right.
So last May, I was traveling with my family, my husband, and our children down to Tennessee to be with my family, and on the way there, I was reading this book, and the name is, of course, escaping me right now. So if it
Mhm.
comes, it's John Eldridge. I can remember
Yep.
that. Okay,
Is it, now it's,
I know.
the,
It's like I can see the book. I can see it right
is it,
here.
is it, is it the, well, he does a lot of like men's book, like men's, but he had one recently was like all things new. Is that it?
It wasn't that one. No, if I can think about it, I'll let you
Something
know.
heart, something with the heart. Was it that one?
Uh,
It's okay.
maybe.
It's okay.
Yeah, if I
I'm
can
a big fan
remember
of John
it,
Eldridge, so yeah, yeah, yeah.
just link
You
it
can't,
later if we come up with
yes.
it. But
Good idea.
yeah, but I was reading this on the way, and it was talking about this specific chapter was talking about how the Lord has a name for you.
Yeah.
And so John, when he was writing this chapter, said that he asked, when he realized that the Lord had a name for him, he asked the Lord, Lord, what's my name? And the Lord said, you are my William. And he said he felt totally uncomfortable by that response because he loved William Wallace growing up. And it was
Yeah,
almost like, okay, are you really telling me that, or do I just want to hear you say you're my William?
yeah, yeah.
But the Lord kept confirming, you're my William, and here's why. So I'm reading this book, and I thought, oh, I kind of want to ask. so so I asked the Lord, okay, Lord, what's your name for me? And he said, you're my Dinah. And I was so uncomfortable by that response because,
Wow.
one, I get called Dinah all the time, and it makes me laugh because I think, can you imagine if I called it, like, I named the nonprofit after myself, like Dear
Yeah.
Mandy? Like, no, I wouldn't do that. And so, but, or people will just assume, like, oh, are you Dinah? So when he said, you're my Dinah, it was like, Lord, no, give me a different name. Like, that's so conceited of me.
Yeah.
But he instantly took me from my car and he placed me in a field.
Wow.
And this is where, when I read Dinah's story that day, and he brought Dear Dinah to my heart, and he had me read her story over and over again. I was not on my couch anymore. I was in this field with Dinah. And
Wow.
so he took me back to this field, and I'm in this field, and there's nobody in this field but me and the Lord. And he said, you are my Dinah, and you missed it. I wanted you to read her story over and over again, and you kept seeing everybody else, but you did not see yourself. You are
Wow.
cherished, loved, and I will vindicate you.
It's so good.
But it caught me off guard because he said, I will vindicate you, not you are vindicated. Because Dinah
Yeah.
means vindicated. And so it was
Yes.
kind of like, wait, say that last part again, because it sounded, it sounded like you said you're going to vindicate me. And the Lord said, I will vindicate you. And it was a very like unsettling feeling for a second because I thought I've been vindicated before. You know, I'm a survivor of domestic violence, and there was vindication. Um,
Yes.
and there's been he's vindicated me time and time again in other little ways, but it was like, oh, what does this mean? About a week before that, also I was praying and I asked the Lord to show me the battle, show me the spiritual battle more clearly, so I know better how to fight.
Yeah.
And so he said, you are my Dinah, and I will vindicate you. That was a Wednesday night. On Sunday, it was Mother's Day,
Hmm.
and we had just gotten in the car. We're driving back to Ohio. We were in the car for 6 minutes. I can remember this like it was
Wow.
yesterday.
Yeah.
And one of my board members called me and she said, Mandy, I have to talk to you, and it's really bad. She's like, are you sitting down? I said, yeah, I'm in the car. Yeah, you know. And
Yeah.
she said, okay. She said, there, a post went on Facebook, and I knew the person who, she said it was, you know, said the name of the person who posted it. And she said, and it's really bad, and I'm going to read it to you because you need to know what it says.
Right.
Um, and so she read this post, and it was basically, there was a hashtag, and the hashtag was Survivors Against Mandy Reed.
Wow.
And the post was all about how she can no longer stay silent and let me get away with harming survivors, and how I hide behind scripture and I hide behind passing out Bibles, but really the world needs to know the truth about Mandy Reed. And she's reading these words about me, and I could not breathe. Like I literally was just sitting there listening, thinking like, where did this come from? First of all, you
Right.
know? So my mind is just like, I'm just in shock. And so I literally couldn't speak.
Yeah.
And you know, my husband's here, and and he's just kind of looking, and I can't. The first thing that I did was like catch my breath and just start crying because it was like, what is happening right now? So I had another board member call me, and I'm trying to process, and there's more. It was a planned attack. So
Yeah.
Facebook post went out, and then the email went out. So there were three different women behind this, and they claimed to be representing a group of 14 survivors. The email had, I want to say, 12 different accusations against me and Dear Dinah.
Wow.
And I mean, it was lie after lie after lie after lie, and it was disgusting. And they sent it to every anti-human trafficking organization and nonprofit, or just organizations in our space in Ohio, and then the major organizations across the US.
Wow.
They sent it because they had seen on my Facebook just different groups I was involved with. They sent it to the different groups. They sent it to my husband's work. I mean, it was a full on, we are stopping this. They sent me an email from an email address, Survivors Against Mandy Reed at yahoo.com. And all it said was game over. That was it.
Wow.
And I mean, my heart's just pounding, especially when I start to read these lies that literally paint me as a monster. And my
Right.
husband, they pulled him into it too and put some accusations
Yes.
against him that he probably should have lost his job. You know,
Right.
fortunately, they know him and they know the truth, but
Right.
he's a professional counselor. He should have lost his job based off of what
Yeah.
they said, you
Wow.
know? So, had the Lord not just told me, you are my Dinah and I will vindicate you,
Yeah.
I have no idea how I would have been able to navigate through that, because I'll be honest with you, the very first week I didn't eat. My
Yeah.
board would send food to the house for Josh and the boys because I was absolutely devastated. We had an emergency board meeting Monday night, and I said, I don't want anyone to retaliate. No one is going to comment on any of these posts. These are lies. And this is a spiritual battle.
Yeah.
The way that we're going to fight is we are going to worship the Lord,
I
and
love it.
we are going to pray for these women, because this is not them. I know all
Yeah.
three of these women. This is not them. This is brokenness and
Yeah.
hurt. That is
Yeah.
what they're responding out of. And so that board meeting, we didn't come up with strategies. We didn't come up with, it was, we are going to pray right now for these women. And I told the board, we're gonna, like, this is how I want us to fight. We
Right.
had to come up with, because it was like every day you were just waiting for the next thing they were going to try.
Right.
They sold t-shirts at one point.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah. So, but the whole time, it's just I literally at one point I couldn't leave my house out of fear, and it was like, that's Satan. That is not the Lord. Like, these are lies. I can't be held into my house because of lies that are out there. A
Right.
light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. And I
Right.
cannot be crippled by fear. And I have to stand on the word, and I have to stand on what I know about the Lord. And that is that truth is going to come to light.
Yeah.
And so I took my boys to the museum, and I was anxious the whole time, but it was like, I'm getting out of my house. But I
Yeah. Good.
prayed and I worshiped, and slowly by slowly, truth would start to come out, little by little. Um, I think some of the most hurtful things during that time was the organizations, and this is what I told the board too. If everybody believes this, we have to have grace for them. If we got an email like this about someone,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
would probably be very tempted to believe this also. So if anybody
Right.
chooses to believe this, we have to understand that that's a reality of this kind of attack. However, once people hear the truth and still choose to believe this instead, that's to us an indicator that maybe this is not an organization that we need to continue aligning with.
Yeah.
If you can't recognize truth, or you're not willing to have a conversation to find out what the truth is, that's
Right.
okay, but we
Yeah.
can't align.
Right.
And so it was
Right.
a lot of navigating, and um it was a lot of seeking the Lord. And I asked the Lord, keep my mouth closed when it needs to be closed, and open it when it needs to be open.
It's
I
good.
don't need to say anything unless you're giving me the words to speak, because this is, a lot of people are hurt. There are a
Right.
lot of innocent people hurt by these lies. So during this time, though, one of my prayers was, Lord, please let this be quick, because
Yeah.
so many people are hurting. This could go on for who knows how long. Please just let this be quick. And also just show us what to do. So there are a couple things that came out of it. There's so much, but I'm trying to,
Right.
like, you know, um,
I love it.
one of the things is we had a lot of organizations back off, which, again, we understood that that was a potential outcome. But it was a Thursday night, and my husband was sitting there, and he said, Mandy, I'm hearing the Holy Spirit right now. And he said, what's the one group that has never questioned you once over this last week? It was only a week at this point. And I instantly knew it was the church.
Yeah.
Every one of our church partners reached out to us and said, we're praying for you, we're fighting with you, what do you need? Not a single
Wow.
one of them believed it. Every single one of them instantly knew the truth.
Wow.
And so he said, it's the church. He said, Mandy, the Lord is showing me that he's pruning Dear Dinah right now,
Yeah.
because we were going in a direction that we weren't supposed to go in. It wasn't a bad direction. It just wasn't the direction he had for us. And he said, within the last year, what has he showed you that he wanted to do with Dear Dinah? And I said, well, there was the tiny homes, because we kind of had that in our vision, and then we just
Yeah.
kept going in this direction. And so, well, there was the tiny homes. And he said, it's the church. It's the church you have to partner with for the tiny homes. Like, the Lord is just showing me he's preparing you, because he wants to do this project, the tiny homes, but he can't do it with you if you keep going in this direction. This is a
Wow.
pruning, and he's opening your eyes to see. And so it was almost like this. I
Yeah.
remember it went from when David was grieving while his son, the loss of his
Yes.
son, and once he found out his son had passed, it was like he got up. Like it was like he got up and he kept going. It was that moment of like the mourning is over, the grieving is
Yes.
over, and
Yeah.
now it's time. We're going to stand up and we're going to confidently go in this direction.
Yes.
And if you're
Yes.
with us, it's not Dear Dinah you're with. You see the vision of the Lord, and that's what you're with. And if you're
Yes. That's
not,
good.
that's okay. And
Yeah.
actually, thank you, because you keep doing what you're doing. We have to go in this direction, right? And
Yeah.
so within 2 weeks, we found out that we were given land,
That's
19
so good.
acres.
Yes. Yep.
And let me just tell you, the name of the road that this land is on is Quick Road.
Wow.
And when I pulled onto it for the first time and I saw quick, and I just like the Lord, I asked him, please let it be quick. Please let it be quick. And it was like, Quick Road, here's your land. Partner with my people. This is the direction you're going in. I love you enough to disrupt what you were doing. And
Yes.
he had to do it. He had to do it in a way that I understood this was serious.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Not. Yeah.
it hurt
Yeah.
bad. And there's still some pain when I think about the fact that there are still people who are believing what they're
Yeah.
believing, and yet also releasing it to the Lord to say he is the one who can bring truth and bring healing and bring, all of those things. We have to keep doing what we're doing, and we cannot stop because of
Yeah.
the attacks of the enemy. They're always going to be there.
Yep.
you
They
know
won't stop. Right.
but we got to keep going.
Yeah. I love that. That that God like prepared you. Like I was as I'm listening to your story and thinking how you left for, I think it was for vacation to go
Yeah.
to like doing fine, reading a book and having a word from the Lord. Everything's good, and a kind of a mysterious word from the Lord, something that you weren't even prepared to hear, or no, I don't know if prepared is the word, but like it's like, oh wow, that's I'm surprised. Let's just say surprised to hear, and
Yeah.
you go on, and then on your way back, everything hits the. Is that right? Is that the timeline? Am I
Absolutely.
okay? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I
So
drove
then,
into the city bitter,
yes, yes,
like,
yeah.
and I remember thinking, like, I literally one day asked the Lord, like, do you have any idea what it feels like when the very people that you are trying to love and serve are the ones rejecting you? And I'm like praying this through like tears, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I am so sorry, Lord. Like,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, it's good.
you know
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, that's good. And I love that he gave you a word that was preparing you for that, because you like that you are going to be vindicated. And I don't know if maybe you had a sense of like vindicated from what? I feel like you
Yeah.
vindicated me. What am I
Yes.
need to be vindicated from now? And
Right.
and sure enough, on the way, this comes, and it's almost, and I love that because God, in my experience in things that I do, it's always God gives a word, and it's something that you can hold on to in
Yeah.
the deepest and the darkest places that you go, and when life happens at you, when the enemy is attacking, and things are falling apart all around you, you still like God is always so gracious with His love, and to give you a word to something that you can hold on to in that deep dark moment. And then you have
Yeah.
people like your spouses or
Yeah.
your family that are with you, the
Yeah.
church, uh they're also hearing from God from you. So in those moments where you feel like you're all alone, like
Yeah.
I know it's kind of cliche to say like a Job moment,
Yeah.
but to have that God's word and then the people around you, so good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is crazy. But I also love what it's produced, like
Yeah.
on the other side of that, which is so good.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, I also wanted to last thing, and I've
Yeah.
said this probably multiple times, but I also wanted to. We did talk about this story you told, and I thought it was such an amazing story. And I didn't want to miss it. So, can you share that story?
Yeah.
Um, I think the question I asked is like, what is it? What's the like? Where do you see hope in the future? I mean, you've
Yeah.
talked about so much of it already,
Mhm.
but where is it with your organization? Not even only in your organization. You want to say the church. If you want to say, for maybe there's people listening who are not part of the church, that's okay. But maybe like in just in the world in of itself.
Hmm.
Um, uh, what where yeah. Tell us a
Yeah,
little bit about
yeah,
that.
yeah. The hope absolutely lies in the reality that all we are doing, as believers, but specifically through Dear Dinah, all we are doing is living out the example Jesus gave to us. And the Lord has given to us from the very beginning, which is
Yeah,
He pursues and He goes after. I mean, He seeks and saves the lost. He's
yeah,
relentless. He's a relentless God, and He shows His love in powerful ways. And I know the story I had said to you was just a perfect picture of this, because I've seen the Lord go after these souls in the most powerful, beautiful ways that we don't even have to use words. It's just He just shows up, and it's like
right,
there's no denying. But
right,
the story that I told you about took place about a year ago, and I was a part of a sting operation, actually going undercover and trying to help find some girls who were they were being posted. Their ads were being posted online, and a lot of the buyers, the Johns who were purchasing these girls, thought that they were purchasing prostitutes, willing
right,
participants, selling themselves, whereas we know that the majority of those women are actually forced to put those ads
right.
up. And so that was kind of why we were there, was to really see, like, what's actually going on behind the scenes, and then helping them understand, like, you don't have to go back to that. And that's why we were there. Dear Dinah was in the room to be able to say, like, we want to walk with you. We want to show
Yeah,
you that there's a hope and a future. And so there's one girl in particular who came in during that operation, and she was just absolutely precious, and also very clearly, um, just had no idea that she was in the throes of those early stages of being trafficked. There's a lot of
wow,
manipulation and confusion, and she was wrapped up in all of it. And so when they at that particular operation, she was actually arrested, and she went into jail that night and then released the next day. And we just told her, hey, when you are released, please contact us. Like, we want to be here for you. We want to walk with you. We didn't hear from her. A week later, we were doing street outreach, and we went to this motel in an area where we know that women are being trafficked, and again, men, children,
right.
but we know women are being trafficked. And so we went to this motel. We went to the second floor. We
Hmm.
went to this particular door, and I remember, and every time I drive by it, I just look at it. But there was a woman, outside of the door that we stopped and we talked to, and she just said, hey, I want you guys to meet someone inside. And she walked into this room, and I turned and I looked at my ministry partner who was with me, and I said, she's gonna bring out, this girl.
Oh,
Like, I could just feel in my spirit, like, she's in there.
yeah,
Out she comes. And as soon as she sees us, I mean, she just, like, it was a little bit of shock, a little bit of fear. She's like, are you arresting me? We told her,
yeah,
like, no, we're not the cops. But and then it was just this breakdown of emotion. And she just started crying, and she said, why are you here? And we said, do you understand? We didn't know you were here. The Lord literally led us to your door because
yeah,
He loves you so much that He
yeah,
couldn't stand you being
yeah.
here,
That's good.
and continuing this. And so He literally brought us to your door, and we're here to let you know how loved you are. And we are here for you, and He is here for you, and you do not have to keep doing this. She left that weekend.
Wow.
She's never
So
gone back. She's never gone
yeah,
back. And she tells everyone, I wish that it was her telling her story, but she's given me permission to share it, which is why I can share it with you. But, she'll tell people that on that balcony that night is when she believed in her heart that the Lord is real and that He loves her.
wow.
And I mean, she's in the Word. She has a powerful testimony that she can give, and she saw God. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it's one
yeah,
of those situations where, yeah, we use words and we told her, but she knew that she knew,
yeah.
okay,
This is real.
this is
Yes.
real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
God, there is a God in who, ultimately are, yeah, ultimate, that's not the word, but loves me more than anything I could ever imagine.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
and we do every time we go out on the street, doing the outreach, we're walking in authority and we are walking with that like understanding that we're being the hands and feet. When he says be the hands and feet, it's because if he was still here, that's what he would be doing. So
Yeah.
like be his hands and feet and keep going, you
Yeah.
know? So
It's not
yeah.
just us as the church, like I think we're his
Yes.
bride, and that's like what he wants from us. And
Yeah.
um and it's an honor to participate in that. When you get to be
Absolutely.
a part of that, when like
Yeah.
in my experience and hearing what you just said, like I can't even imagine the feeling that you had, like just like it's a miracle happening right in front of you that you get to be a part of.
Yeah.
Like God used you, and you were used because you said, "Okay, God, here I am, send me," and you get to experience that. And that's what I love about your story, about so many
Mhm.
stories I've heard about people that have organizations like you. And and
Mhm.
I and I think one part of this podcast is like I want to encourage people, like wherever you at, there's something that you can do. You said something earlier, you may not remember because this was last week, but I wrote this down. It says, when you were talking about like actually when your organization started, you said it was already there but it hadn't been revealed yet. And I
Yeah.
love, and I feel like this is the theme of this conversation, because that's like for every moment, like the thing that God is like, it's here. We use that phrase, like we don't pray for victory, we pray from victory, right? Because it's
Yes.
here. The kingdom of
Yes.
God is at hand. It's here, right? And we get to we get to be a part and witness and experience a little bit of it here and there, little pockets of heaven, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's here, and it just gets revealed
Right.
when God says go do it, and we say, okay, God, even though I have to go through all the stuff, like the stuff that you've gone through, all the stuff, not just for you, but on the other side for the victim who's gone through things I can't even imagine, and to come
Mhm.
to a moment where God's like, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
That's was there, and
Yeah.
it's just being revealed, right?
Yeah.
And I love it. And I just want to encourage people, like the thing that's already there is waiting for you, is God wants to reveal it to you, or and wants to show you that there is, like, you have whatever it is that you have,
Yeah.
whatever gifting it is you have, whatever it is, God can take it and make miracles. And it's
Yes.
so cool. It's so awesome. Um, well, Mandy, thank you so much. This has been so awesome. Not only this, like, just the conversation, but the fact that you came back after we had a little bit of a hiccup in our technology is you're so gracious. I am so excited about your future, about the future of Dear Dinah. I can't wait to, if you're willing to have another conversation after you have the houses put together and you start
Yes.
moving forward. I would love to. I would love
Yes.
to, like, talk about that, what that looks like. And like I said before, we'll have conversations offline with my team and your team, and how we can potentially work together. Um, could you please tell the people how they can, like, if they want to support or if they want to learn more? Also, I know that you do like training, so maybe if there's an
Yeah.
opportunity that somebody wants to learn how
Yeah.
they can get involved, maybe in their own city. I know you say you may do like remote stuff. Can you just
Yeah.
give all that information so people have?
Yeah, of course. So, how can people get involved? Trainings, all of that. So, if you go onto our website, all of the information is there. We do trainings, and I actually have traveled for trainings. Our trainings are free. I just feel
Okay.
really strongly that I want people to know and learn and see how they can get involved. So
Right.
we have free training, but if I do travel, I just ask my travel is covered,
Of course, for sure,
you
yeah.
know.
Pay for that, yeah, for
um,
sure.
but we can do remote too. So I have done Zoom trainings before
Okay,
also. So that is definitely an option. And then yeah, we have, I mean, so many different ways to get involved, even if you're not local. So just go online, reach out. I try and
okay,
respond to everyone within like a few days. I'll try to get back at a good time, but any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's it. I am just so grateful for what you and your team, your family, all the sacrifices that you're making, everything that you're doing, that you are doing this. And thank you for, again, for for hanging out and having a conversation. And I can't wait to come back and hear all the exciting new things that you guys are doing.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been the highlight of both of my weeks, so.
Awesome.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
We'll see everybody next time. Bye.